My name is Jamie Piles. I joined Samaritan in December of 1996. We were homeschooling our kids, and we were already thinking outside the world's box, if you will. And I saw a little tiny classified ad about this new kind of idea I'd never heard of before. My first reaction was, that's the kind of thing that we would do, isn't it? And so I finally called the number, talked to them, and the more I asked them questions, the more I liked their answers.
Hey y'all, it's 2024. Good to be with you on CrossPolitic. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy, and we got ND Wilson in the house. I'm a little nervous about this episode because the last time we had ND Wilson on the show to talk about like what the future is going to look like.
What was that?
A prophesied is January 2020 or February. February 2020.
We've had him on since.
We've had him on
since
then, but particularly to talk about what you expect is going to happen in the new year. And Nate prophesied all bad things.
Yeah,
and it all came true.
he's like Micaiah when they call him Mike. He's like, I don't want to call him Micaiah, and he never prophesies anything good.
Yeah, and
yeah. So Nate, come on.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Okay, here's your first good prophecy. You ready?
Go for it.
Barbie 2 will be even bigger.
Yeah. That was disappointing to
All
actually
right,
see
well,
Barbie
thank you
1.
for coming on the show. Appreciate having you.
Page 50 is a distinctly Christian marketing company striving to help Christian-owned businesses grow and succeed in our digital age. They don't want to just make a paycheck. They want to change the world, but they do want to make paychecks too.
That's nice.
And that means building alongside you. The mission is bigger than just Sunday. Page 50 wants to help Christians recapture the work week, economic and political influence, and the public square. Page 50 doesn't work with just anybody, but if you're a believer, they want to work with you. Visit page50.com. You got to spell it out, PAGEFIFTY.com, and see what they can do for you. That's page50.com. Nate, we didn't even write down a bio for you. I usually like to have a bio, but Nate Wilson is
Who refuses to finish Dragon's Tooth.
Silent Bells.
Silent Bells.
Come on, get it right. I'm boycotting my own book series.
Please don't. I named my son
Ryan
after
the
one of your
Dance,
characters.
River Thief.
River Thief. Knox was also in River Thief.
I was.
That's right.
Yeah, nailed it.
10 years ago.
Hello Ninja.
Hello Ninja for all you Netflix subscribers out there.
When that came out, my mom doesn't even watch kids, but she just had it run on her TV during the day because she wanted to get y'all's numbers up.
Yeah.
Mom,
Thanks, Mom.
Mom's the most supportive.
Thanks, Mom.
Sweet. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. Yeah, so just a minute ago, you were telling us about your woes with the Silent Bells. So let's just...
I don't know. I think Gabe was telling us about his woes with the Silent Bells.
Well, I mentioned to you that you've been sending out, you said you've got 15 chapters now, and they're stacked in my office at home.
Unread.
Dusty.
And they're dusty because I refused to open them. I think I maybe opened the very first one just because I just wanted to see what it looked like, and then everything else has been closed, and I just get it in the mail, and I put it on the stack. Because I'm not going to start a story that's not done.
There's probably a lot of people who wish they'd done that.
Because now they're 10 or 15.
That's what I've done.
Come on.
That's what I've done.
So, is this one of your New Year's resolutions?
It's one of my New Year's.
You didn't seem very confident about
New Year's aspirations.
It didn't make it to the resolution.
I really want to get it done. This is definitely one of my daughter's New Year's resolutions.
It's for you.
Is for me to finish this book. Hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully. I do also, though, in the queue, I have to finish a third work of nonfiction. So Notes from the Tilted World, Death by Living. There's a third one of those. That I'm working on actively. I've got to close that off. And then I owe...
Does that have a title yet?
Hey, don't play with me.
You want the title?
Yeah, I love the title.
It's called Never Home.
Okay.
So that one is in the works.
Okay.
And I got to close that one off.
Okay.
And then I have some other projects, what I refer to as time debt or creative debt, where you keep the lights on, you pay your taxes by taking a job, and you got to finish it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, so I got some features I got to finish writing, some series work, some TV series work that may or may not ever even be produced. It's just, I have to finish doing it because it's paid my kids' college tuition, and I now owe them the creative work. So in my stove where everything's boiling and simmering, there's Silent Bells, which is the thing I really want to do for me and for those and those super fans,
and my daughter,
and those people
who does not like where she was left off.
I really want to do it. I've had some negotiations with publishers to try to facilitate and enable the ability for it to be published as a book at the end and a unified series at the end. So those things are all happening unseen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have about 8 to 9 chapters left
Okay.
to wrap that sucker up. And I would very much like to wrap it up this year.
And of course, a big part of what you're helping run is Canon Plus.
Yep.
And it's going bonkers. It's going
fantastic.
What are some of the highlights for you right now on Canon Plus, or what's coming up?
So one of the big mandates with Canon Plus is trying to move into that. Well, what you guys do, you think Fight, Laugh, Feast. You guys major on all of Christ for all of life, like everything.
We learned that from some folks.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to sell Christians vitamins. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to sell Christians Sunday school curricula.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's really hard to sell them joy,
pleasure,
just real good meat. You know,
come on now, you hitting the spot for me.
So trying to move to selling people and serving people things that are beautiful and fun and pleasurable and the truth, goodness, beauty package, not just vitamins. We have a ton of vitamins, and I think we've got great vitamins.
Give me an example of what you mean by vitamins.
The Future Men series.
Okay.
I think the Future Men series is fantastic. I think it's really important. I think it's really helpful. And so a lot of it's remedial, and a lot of people need help. They need nourishment. They need that. They are malnourished in a lot of corners of the church worldwide. And so we're trying to meet that need. That's the easier need to meet. The harder one is how to catechize imaginations.
Come on, man.
How to put families on a couch together, like enjoying something together as a meal, consumed cooperatively.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about there?
So blah blah black sheep. So we're working on.
Kids' books, not vitamins?
No, but the thing is, like, there's a big difference between good for you and like it's good for you and a vitamin. So it's easy, and this is not a criticism at all. So if you take like Sir Bat-a-Lot, the kids' picture book, which is awesome, right, versus blah blah black sheep. So those two are like a subtle distinction where both are fun, both are picture books,
right?
Both are great bedtime reading and sit with your kids reading. One of them is about self-control. And has a lesson. A very clear moral. The other is a more indirect subtext of a lesson in terms of like celebrating boyhood, masculinity, not just stomping on this masculine personality, in the flock. Right. So all the antis, all the ewes of the flock trying to suppress this little boy. So it's there. I mean, you could distill it, but it's not there for the kids. When you're reading it to the little kid, with Sir Bat-a-Lot, you're saying, this is how we kill the cranky danky dragon. This is how we have self-control. Right. But when you go to blah, blah, black sheep, it's just a cookie. And it's a really good cookie. And it's a cookie that will, a mom should enjoy giving to her son. It's one that's healthy, wholesome, should affirm and reinforce truth and goodness, and then be really playful and have a lot of fun in what it's doing on a beauty level. But it's not just a Sunday school lesson. Right. Like it's not a Sunday school. It's not a Sunday school lesson. And there's nothing wrong with Sunday school lessons. Yeah. We love those. And there's a ton of those. But trying to build our catalog of vitamins and Sunday school lessons, which we've been doing rapidly. We've been building that a lot and starting to broaden into nourishing imaginations and catechizing loves and loyalties with fiction and narrative the way God does. Right. The way he does in this world. That's a big point of growth for us. It's also wildly expensive. So not only is it a little bit...
This is an anime series. It's a series.
Yeah, it's actually more expensive to make and slightly harder to sell to Christians. And so if you think about how...
You preaching.
So you think about how hard it is to sell a Sunday school series. We're like, hey, we need all the dads in the church to get together. We've made something for you. Yeah. We think it's going to be great. It's going to be encouraging. It's going to help you. And we really believe in it. We love offering that stuff. Yeah. That stuff is fantastic. It's key to our business. We're outfitters of the Reformation. We want to equip people all over the world.
I love that line. Yeah.
And then we move on from that to like, but do you know what else we want to do? Is we want to make your kids stronger and more immune to all the seduction of the world by having things that are more fun, more enjoyable, like better.
No fun.
Yeah. So if they have to like, I'm here for the lessons, but I go over there to Babylon for all the fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, like that doesn't set up any kind of longevity.
Right.
For a Christian community. So,
why is that such a hard sell? It would seem like fun would, because Christians are doing it. They're having fun. They are having fun, right?
Only in Babylon, but they're going over to Babylon.
But so then why is that a hard sell? If they know they're in Babylon having the fun, they're like, surely there has to be fun.
Think about the deep insecurity of the evangelical church, like just the kind of the hollowness of it, the shallowness of it, the insecurity that's there. I've experienced this because when I was trying to start writing, and I got all my novels rejected by every Christian publishing house I sent them to. Yeah. I then ended up in a whatever 5-way, wasn't like a true auction, but bidding war for my books from Babylon. So New York, my first book deal was 4 books, major house. I got all rejections from Crossway, from all the little Christian publishers.
Wow.
But then I had Penguin and Random and Harper and all them all clamoring and chasing it.
Wow.
Now the thing that's weird about that is that as soon as a Christian, published with a big secular house,
Babylon,
the swarm of evangelical followers
came.
It was amazing.
Of course.
because you were legitimate then.
Yeah,
Babylon
I
legitimized
received
you.
the benediction of Babylon. I made it in
blessing,
Babylon,
yeah.
Oh my
and I
gracious.
find it super weird. Same thing happened with Hello Ninja. Same things happened with a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird. And this also, we can talk about the embargo here too, which is kind of funny. Refer to the Moscow embargo.
Right.
How that's affected me personally is that I can't go to very small conferences in the Reformed evangelical world.
All right, explain the embargo real quick.
So the embargo is the Moscow Mood, as you guys all are now familiar with the trademark from DeYoung.
Thank you, Kevin.
Moscow Mood is not kosher inside of very polite areas of the Reformed evangelical world. And you will be tainted from even standing next to us.
Right.
Now, you can read us in secret. You can reach out to me and offer me money to ghostwrite your book so that it's better. You can do things like that. You can call
have
me.
editors come and do stuff for you without telling people to do stuff.
Yeah.
It's happening.
You can call me and ask for introductions in Babylon.
Right.
And say, hey, I too would like to make it in Babylon. Could you give me a leg up?
Yeah.
But can't be associated with you in public.
Yeah.
Correct.
Can't retweet us in public.
You know,
this is not.
Have a speak at your conversation.
This is not a fantasy.
So there's an animated series that I set up as a producer from believers who reached out and were like, "We're just dying. We need help." I helped it happen. It happened, and right as it got to green light, they called. We're like, "Could we take your name off?"
Oh gosh.
Like, could we get you off this?
Because you said yes, didn't you?
Oh heck yes.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And
right
the thing, but part of the reason why was because it was a test of the relationship. So I was like, you've been asking for favors for a long time. What if I do one for you? And then we're going to find out, like, are you actually going to stand next to me in your tiny little Christian high school? Right. It's such a little tiny thing.
Yeah. It's good to know now and not in battle.
And it's
right.
Oh, but here's the funny part. It's a tiny little tree fort. It is a tiny, tiny little ecosystem.
Right. Yeah.
And God, in his weirdness and his craziness, has given me access, basically left coast, right coast, New York, LA, to anyone.
Right.
Like just
right.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are not bigger offices.
They're like, you shouldn't come to our tree fort.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
I was like, all right. I guess I can't come to your very tiny class reunion for that little tiny Christian high school that you went to and I never did.
Yeah.
But you're excluding me very intentionally.
Right.
But I can go.
Yeah.
Be anywhere that you really want to be and can't.
So
it's weird.
This embargo is real. It's been going on for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And so it's finally
like 25 years about.
But think of the embargo as Cuba. You know,
that's right.
It's like,
and then there's the world.
And there's the world.
Yeah.
Weirdly, we've had access to the world.
Right.
And Cuba is off limits.
That's 100%.
And so it's really funny because like Russ Moore and other guys who have leveraged people to not have me there, or like to try to prevent Moscow from being represented or any public affiliation.
Man.
All they're doing is protecting their little Cuba.
Right.
It's a tiny little Cuba.
Yeah.
And weirdly, as soon as they want to get off the island or they want to try to do anything, they're like, who do I know? They're like, who could I maybe hit up in a DM, be like, always been a huge fan.
Yeah.
Would love to get on a call. You know, other than that call is, do you know anybody at Disney? Do you know anybody?
Right.
It's like, and yes, I have worked with the Amazon Studios, with HBO Max, with Disney Plus, with Amblin, with LeBron, with Steph's company, with everybody.
Yep.
You know, it's like there's that's easy.
But the evangelical
But you know where
culture,
I can't go?
Yeah, there's evangelical cancel culture.
I can't go to Cuba. So it is real.
Right.
So it's funny to me because the embargo is real, but it's only one tiny marketplace. Now the downside is it's the tiny marketplace where it's easiest to sell vitamins.
Right.
So that little Christian world,
Yeah.
if we're trying to peddle vitamins, that's the little market for us. You know, I don't go to Netflix for that.
But the embargo is being lifted, though, right? It feels like it's being broken because now,
very much so. Even that's crumbling.
It's at least bleeding. There's
Cuba has
holes in it.
Coca-Cola,
Right.
Like they have Coca-Cola now. You know, it's like that. It's that kind of a situation.
I guess so. Man, so then you were talking about the embargo. What were you going with that? Because after the embargo, you were talking about
So in terms of Canon Plus and trying to move into the kind of creation that I've always had to do with Babylon. So
Babylon buys from you.
I can go. I mean, like, there's not a New York house I can't publish with. There's not a studio that I can't walk into in LA. You know, it's like that those invitations are just open. And it's weird that I have to go there and trying to reach Christians because the big problem is if I go there now, everything's getting wokeified, everything. I can't make what I want to make.
Right.
So I can go set a show up, but it's not going to be the show I want.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the thing I want to actually be involved in. So I really want a pirate ship. I want us to have our own pirate fleet of content creators and
our own platform to distribute it. Yeah,
exactly. So that we can do those things that now shrug off all the strings of Babylon. Because Babylon, they let me do what I wanted to do when we started.
Right.
And now that's gone.
And I think part of the question that Knox was asking is, and maybe you already answered this and I just missed it, but just why do the Christians go to Babylon for their content?
Right.
And why don't they want it served up by you?
Oh,
I mean, why not PureFlix?
Yeah. So this gets into something I've talked about before in like my podcast and other things, but the nature of value and the tiers of value of a project. And so I break things down for my students, for writers I help coach, for everybody else in terms of there's technical value, which is just skill, you know, cinematography, acting, performance, score, every editing, every single piece of it, down to the lighting and the sound and all that. Just technical value, raw technical value. And you could watch a film and have it be amazing, tick all the boxes technically and be filth and be destructive.
That's right.
So technical value is one tier of criticism. Then response value. How does the viewer respond? How does the audience respond? What impact does it have on the viewer is the next tier of value. And the last one is what I just call objective value. And under that one, it's just a question of, does God like it?
That's not in order. That's not in order.
No, those are the three tiers. There's no order to it. But all three can be assessed. Yeah. And technical value is hands down much better in Babylon in every single way.
Yeah.
There's not
because they got all the Christians working for them.
They actually do.
They do.
They actually do.
I know.
But the technical value is also just because they pay.
That's right.
It's more
there's
cutthroat.
money.
It's kind of cutthroat, right?
It's cutthroat. It's the free market.
Full price.
Yeah, they will. They will
do a good
pay
job,
you.
or we'll fire you and we'll get somebody else to do it.
There's no deep brother discount. They're not like trying to take you down. They're just writing you the check. They're writing you the check. So everybody has this insecurity because we all know that our stuff kind of sucks. You know, it's like in the church, we all know that, you know, evangelical novels aren't as good as Babylonian novels, but that's not actually true anymore.
Right.
But we still have that in our heads.
Yeah.
Those are the cheapest things to replace, like the written word on the page. That's the first thing we should be winning. That's why we're trying to do a canon. We're trying to build the novel side. We're trying to build all those things.
Yeah.
But that's the one we should just be able to do. That insecurity is there. That insecurity is major. And as a result, we've habituated this pattern in the evangelical church of Christian creators copying what's over there. And so Christian bands are copying that. Yeah. Filmmakers are copying that. And so Christian art looks entirely AI generated.
If you like Mumford and Sons, then you will like this Christian band.
But it's all derivative. It's all of it is derivative. Yeah. All of it is AI. All of it is just them patterning what they see over there in Babylon and trying to imitate. Yeah. And it's
complete with the messed up hands.
Well, it's even happened in evangelicalism where now you sell vitamins and you sell some good vitamins. Everybody's like, dang, they're making money selling vitamins. We should start selling vitamins too.
We're gonna, exactly, exactly.
Let's do the Great Value brand of Canon.
And so
I'm just keeping it 100%.
Safeway Select, Canon Plus.
Safeway Select. It is pretty funny, and it is absolutely happening. And the reason why we're trying to get into, well, there's two reasons why we're trying to get into more of the art side. Yeah. Like we always are going to have a big cornerstone of
literature and theology.
But we're always going to have a giant cornerstone of stuff that is good for you, that will nourish you, that will help the malnourished. So in a world where people are sickly and starving, what do they need first? They don't need a chocolate chip cookie first. They actually need the vitamins. The vitamins are essential. They're this ground level. We're moving the earth. We're pouring the concrete. We're getting the foundation laid. After that, where did those people go? Right. You can keep on helping those people who are all malnourished, but where do the people who are now nourished go? Like, how do they grow? Right. And we're trying to start building that direction, and it's going to be a long, slow build. And right now, we just need to get better and better and better at still the curricula, the vitamins, all the things we're doing. But the other things too matter, and they matter a lot. Because people have to get past that first phase. If you have a family who, as your tag, some guy gets married, has babies, baptizes them, wants to raise him in the covenant, go into a covenant renewal worship service, they're doing all that, and then they are reading what? Yeah. And then they are watching what? Like that sweater's just unraveling.
That's right.
Yeah. It's just getting pulled apart after you've just started. So that's a big part of the move. We want to keep going that direction. The other reason why is because very early I saw cancel culture in New York, and I didn't even know, it didn't have a name, hadn't been labeled. Right. It happened in kids publishing first. It came there first. And I was fighting about all sorts of crazy things in my manuscripts, and there was all this pressure, and there's all this cancellation movement. Random House was receiving this letter writing campaign of people accusing me of just crazy stuff, trying to get them to cancel me as an author, which they just didn't do. That wasn't a thing that happened. Right. So they asked me to write a statement of faith that Random House could have on file that they could send out to these people of like, this is actually what he thinks. So I had this little gospel presentation that Random House was sending out to every, and they were sending it out.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Won't he do it?
And that actually turned into Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl, where I was like, okay, I'm actually I just need to put this on record. I'm going to write it bigger, and I don't need this little thing. And so, but that cancel culture impulse showed up. And that's when I decided, as Canon Press was this literature ministry from my youth, and it was like dwindling and shutting down because it was so easy for us to publish everywhere. Right. We didn't need our own little
publishing
pirate
house.
ship.
Yeah.
But at that moment,
I remember that.
I could see like, oh wow, we're going to need this badly.
Because back then, Thomas Nelson was publishing your dad's stuff, Crossroads, all that.
HarperCollins, Random House, Zondervan, Thomas
R.C. Sproul was inviting your dad to conferences.
Yeah, it was. There was nothing. We could even go to Cuba. So like we're going everywhere. Yeah. And then I started feeling this pressure of like, oh, we're gonna turn you off. We're gonna try to like it was the first little pressure, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna happen. It was like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that's when I come into the scene.
They're gonna start trying to crank this all the way shut. And so we went big into Canon. Yep. We bought the name. We bought all the contracts. Yep. We set it up as a for-profit endeavor, not as a ministry. So that there could be more agility, more aggression, and things can sink or swim because they actually worked or didn't work. And we went all in on trying to build our own ecosystem, our own pirate ship, because we knew a day would come when we needed it
Yep.
to put content. And here we are.
And it was like within years of you guys buying Canon, like, oh, we really needed this infrastructure.
Yeah, it was like, and
I remember all
turn
that.
it off.
Yeah,
So
praise God.
Speaking of your prophetic powers,
Well, first, why don't you read the ad? I got a question. to
Nate,
turn
how
the
long do we
corner.
have you for?
Oh,
How long
I
do
don't
we
even know what time it is. We're good.
We got about
can do
20
this
minutes. We got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Before Toby reads the ad, though, and when we had you on the show in 2020, we asked you, and this is February 2020. This is before COVID really hit. This is before the election happened in November between Biden and Trump, and you called a lot of balls and strikes really well back in that February. And so I kind of want you to kind of do the same thing here. It's 2024.
Right. This is my opportunity to prove I'm not a prophet. I
Or the son of a
did some
prophet.
things wrong.
So Toby's going to read the ad, and we're going to get back to what are your thoughts on 2024? What's going to happen?
Sure.
What's the future of 2024?
Sales Nexus is the platform Fight Laugh Feast uses to manage all our subscribers and email updates. If you're using MailChimp, HubSpot, or Salesforce for email marketing, CRM, and sales, you probably know they've been canceling Voices of Freedom and Truth. That's why we switched to Sales Nexus. Sales Nexus is a complete business marketing and sales solution that won't tell you what you should say or believe. For more information, visit salesnexus.com. That's salesnexus.com.
2024.
There's a couple things here, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my conspiracy theorist hat on.
All right.
In other
took
words,
it off?
And yeah, I'm going to say, in other words, I'm just going to say it. I didn't take it off.
Okay, good. I knew we were there.
But on the one hand, like, why is Joe Biden still the candidate? Why?
Because they think he's the only one that can beat Trump right now.
No.
Why?
Because the actual government needs a puppet.
Yeah.
If they have a real president
Right.
who wants to pick his own cabinet and be in charge of stuff, the current government, the shadow government that's actually running this out of Obama's house, loses control. So why haven't they stuck that big hook out and pulled the totally senile guy out?
Yeah.
It's not because they think he's going to win. They think they can win the fight.
With him as the puppet.
And he can just be the puppet. They got him 81 million votes. Didn't you know that, Gabe?
Yeah, no.
That dude.
I still don't believe that.
Does anybody? So he's still there because they don't want to lose power. Those people running him don't want to lose power.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have a Newsom or you have some other candidate who has a big personality,
Actually has an opinion.
and thinks he's in charge, it's going to be harder to control and steer. He's not going to fall downstairs. You can't just sedate him and have no one notice the way they can right now.
Right.
And so does that go for Kamala as well? Because
No, I think if I were the evil conspiracy, what I would do is I would backstop him with some new personality who looks somewhat autonomous, but is absolutely bought and paid for, but brings a little more likability to the ticket.
Man, that seems like Gavin Newsom though.
Well,
Because
they might be that
he's-
dumb, but only if they have enough leverage on him.
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
take
yeah.
a huge amount of leverage on him to make that work.
Yeah.
But I also think the real progressives, like the psycho progressives, the ones who are not about ruling right now and being in charge right now, but are actually about tearing the whole system down, I think they want Trump. They want Trump in office. They've never had such gains in their own blood-curdling gang, their group. They totally consolidated all of their people with that hatred.
Yeah.
And the way, if you want to tear the system down, if you actually want to tear this thing limb from limb, then what you need is someone in office that you can enable Colorado and California and other people to tear the union apart.
Yeah.
Like where they feel righteous and justified, ignoring the Supreme Court, bailing on the Bill of Rights.
Yep.
If they can do all that, they can't do that with Biden in office. They can't do that with Newsom in office. They have to have somebody like
way
Trump
more radical.
To justify their
them burning the place to the ground.
No, that makes sense.
So you need the quote unquote fascist to justify your revolution. And so it would not shock me at all to see Trump just walk away with it. And be allowed to walk away with it, and then see just the level of vitriol in reaction tear the country apart.
Yeah.
That's one move, and I think the harder edge of the left wants to do that. And I think there are people who currently have cushy, powerful positions who only think short term and are thinking about protecting those.
Right.
I think they'd like Biden to stick around, and they continue for the next 4 years to sit in the sweet pot.
So, do you have Republicans that might join the progressives unintentionally? Because there's a large form of them that are ready to split as well.
Yeah. No, the world is round. People go left and people go right, and they meet on the other side. And that's absolutely happening. And we see that all the time with us. When somebody really hates us, and they hate us as like a 1689 Baptist, and they just decide that we're the devil, and they really hate Moscow, they will go team up with pro-trans lesbians to attack us.
Right.
Like they just go opposite directions, and then they start a little Facebook page or a website together, and are
I've seen
it's
that.
like, what are you
That's exactly right.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
you're so pure that you can't hang out with your Christian brothers, and you have to go hang out with God-hating priestesses of Ashtoreth.
We both agree that we hate you.
Yeah.
And so
you
we
don't understand. But that's the phenomenon that you see with Trump. That enables a ton of people to come together.
Yep.
It enables Frenches and others to team up with hard progressives.
Right.
It pulls those moderates into the psycho commie party. Against him. So it actually really is a pretty deft move. If you want to tear the thing down, put Trump in office. If you actually want to see the hard reset.
Then what's your options as a Bible-believing conservative Christian? Because you see Trump is like,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. DeSantis?
Don't put any of your faith in anybody who's in D.C., period. It doesn't, it's like, what you're doing, like, get a dog.
Come on now.
Get a dog. Play with your kids. Wow. That's more important than who you vote for.
Or a tortoise.
Or a tortoise. It's like, live a real life that's wholesome and powerful.
It's way
more.
I 100% agree with you, but we still have a vote coming up.
Sure.
What do we do? Do we vote for Trump or DeSantis?
Vote for Epstein.
Epstein?
Just write in Epstein. That's how valuable your vote is.
They proved that. They proved that this last election.
No, but now I'm saying I'm gonna go vote. I'm grateful that I have the right to vote. I'm gonna go exercise it, and it's whoever I vote for, it's gonna be the equivalent of blowing a raspberry when I go and vote. I'm gonna go blow a raspberry.
You aren't voting for Trump. You aren't voting for DeSantis. You're gonna vote for.
I don't know who I'm gonna vote for. If Trump is the biggest raspberry I can blow, and I'm in the voting booth,
I see what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah. But at the same time, what I want is time on the clock. I want more time on the clock to get our roots deeper, to get our wells dug, to get our family stronger, to get our get
the pirate ship some ammo.
Yeah, that's it. That's honestly it. Yeah. Don't think that salvation is going to happen in D.C. Don't think that salvation is going to happen from which of the one party. It's all one mono party. Which of them is in office? Now, I enjoyed how transgressive and hilarious Trump was. He was not what I was expecting. Pretty funny, and. We can thank him for Roe. We can thank him for a lot of things. And I would prefer him in office in many ways to Biden. Yeah. But he is a narcissistic psycho. Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend like he's not.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm grateful, like Cyrus, who was like, hey, let's build that temple thing again. It's like that's.
Or Nebuchadnezzar, who before he repents,
yes,
kind of crazy guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a donkey eating grass.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are. We're in the clown world. And the question is, when I look at the two of them, there's the one I want, which is less liberalism, less progressive agenda shoved down my throat. And then there's what I need, which is more time on the clock, to build. Because I told my kids, I think by 26, we don't have a country. And what I mean by that is not that we'll have some massive civil war. I mean the wheels are falling off. We're moving towards a time when various states, regions will simply defy centralized government.
Yeah.
We will not have centralized United States of America anymore, I don't think, by the time we're post midterms. I think that's where we are right now.
Because I
think California will ignore the Supreme Court. Yep. They'll just defy them. Be like, what are you going to do about it? You don't have an army.
Yeah, right.
And we'll start to see parts of the country just defy the central government.
Right.
It's funny.
And we'll shake down to the Articles of Confederation, basically. We'll be a loose affiliation of very different.
And
Can you tell your dad not to write Ride Sally Ride like part 2? Because that's basically it. Colorado is like literally doing the thing.
I know.
It's
pretty funny. And he would say of that one, he's like, it wasn't prophetic. It was actually just happening. I just wrote what was actually happening that a lot of people hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
And I'll add one more thing for 24 and 25 and 26 and forever. And this goes back to 2020. I think this is going to kind of define all of the 20s for the Christian church. Deuteronomy 22. Moses is Israel. What is the moral differentiation between someone who is raped and is a rape victim and someone who is complicit in that violence? It's if you cried out, if you cried out. The evangelical church in 2020 just rolled over.
Facts.
Yeah.
And under Moses, they would be dragged outside the city just like the oppressor would be.
That's right.
They're just as complicit.
Come on, you know what?
Like morally, it's like if you don't kick and scream and fight,
come on now,
then you are as complicit.
That's right.
Like that's just where it sits. Now, there's a ton, you could talk culturally. I'm not even talking about Moses' time or like they all lived close together and everybody debates the justice of that particular verse.
There's no suburbs.
Yeah. It's like that part, what matters is if you cried out, then you are considered blameless and you have no guilt.
Yeah.
Even if you're a victim, even if you've been oppressed, you are without guilt. Something horrible can happen to you, really badly happen to you, and God holds you blameless, innocent. But if you don't do everything in your power to resist, you're on the hook.
And you're
part of the same sin. And this is David French, and this is
this I was going to ask. You're applying that to evangelical leadership.
I'm talking about the evangelical church that closed their doors. I'm talking about the evangelical church that said, okay, cool, we're not going to worship God.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the evangelical church who just said, Romans 13, guys. Romans 13, this guy who just dragged you into the alley, he's a centurion. Romans 13. It's like, no. Like there's a complicity there. And like seeing where God places your moral obligation. He says he always is going to judge us by what he's given us and by the light he's given us and by the ability we have. The number of pastors and churches in this country that had the ability and the opportunity to resist who did not. Yeah. I can't even begin to put a number on.
Well, what was crazy is Kevin DeYoung was one of those churches.
Yeah.
Like he has, like Knox looked it up and he went on his website, on their church website, and they had all this COVID protocol stuff that they were pushing on their church.
Into the end of 21.
Yeah. And that's all. And Kevin is a good dude whom I like. And yet I know exactly where the niceness thing gets you.
Right. Yeah.
The niceness thing gets you into a place where you are leveraged by the weakest people, by the scared people, and the people who don't want to cry out. They don't want to kick. They don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Those people, you're like, oh no, but they'll be sad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like not lighting fireworks because your dog will be scared.
Yeah.
You know, like listen, put them in the house.
Put them in the kennel.
Like, put them in the house. We're going to get this done. Yeah. And you know, it's like, they'll be fine. But instead, they all started accommodating themselves to the people who should have been the farthest from the front lines, got to run the strategy. Like, you know, it's tragic. And so everybody who rolled over, everybody who licked dirt, everybody who just didn't cry out, didn't fight to the death, you know, you're not blameless. You don't get to complain about what happened. You were part of it.
And what's going to happen.
You're part of the oppression. And that's more is coming.
Right. Yeah.
Like more and more and more is coming. That was trial run.
Yeah.
You know, that was the warm up. That wasn't what the 20, I think I remember saying when I came back on after, that was not the game.
Right. That's
like,
right.
That was the rehearsal.
Right.
And
it worked.
Yeah. And where we're going is going to require people to be even stronger, to have more spine, and to have deeper roots.
Because everybody's ready for the next 2020, but they're not ready for what's coming after that.
Yeah, they're not ready for 26.
Right.
They're not ready for that. They're like, well, hey, if I had a do-over at 2020, this is what I would do on that 6th grade science test I flunked. It's like, well, you're in the 10th grade now. So you don't get to take your 6th grade science test again. Yeah. It's like, it's harder now. It's going to be harder. It's going to be trickier. The other thing that happened, this is, I think, what will actually happen more is you think about what World War I was bad. Mm-hmm. When Nazi Germany threw away the Treaty of Versailles, when Nazi Germany went full stormtrooper, when they had already locked up journalists, when they banned freedom of the press, when they started going after Jews, right at the beginning, when you polled Americans all around the continent, especially in university campuses, over whether or not America should be involved, 99% said no. Like 99% said that's their issue.
Yeah.
That's Ukraine and Russia. That's over there. That's not going to affect us. It's like, no, the chessboard's moving. All the pieces are moving. And we're going to end up in a place where it's going to get real. It's going to get real hard. I don't know that it's going to get World War II hard. I don't think it's going to be that kind of a thing. I don't think we're going into that kind of a trial.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be way more like Dust Bowl, just crash and burn than it is like global conflict. But it's going to be rugged. I really do think it's going to get really rugged this decade.
It's going to get medieval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to get pretty old school.
So buy 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And a wolf. And a wolf.
Get really good at training those dogs.
Yeah.
But when I say buy a dog, I actually mean like enjoy life.
Right.
Have fun with your kids. Give your kids like glorious childhoods.
This is why I thought this year, particularly, I think everybody needs to revisit Death by Living. Like
sure,
you know what I mean? I'm serious because one of the things that really was convincing in the book to me, and I think in this era, is everybody's trying to preserve and protect themselves from the damages of life. Yeah. Instead of saying, no, I'm going to build something with these hands. I'm going to break these hands and build generations and fruitful families with these hands, right?
Yeah.
And instead of running from the work, because I think people are trying to build these walls away from this, instead of saying, how about I expand?
Yeah.
The authority that God has given me, the area that God has given me, how about I work this thing really well and love it and make something beautiful with it?
That comes full circle to Canon Plus and just building beauty and joy and seeing. I mean, and actually really believing that is those are our most potent weapons.
Yeah.
That obviously not leaving behind truth, not leaving behind goodness, but recognizing that those really are potent weapons in a world gone mad. It's like, make something beautiful.
One of the things I love about our little town and our community here is the random side effects from people living like that, and from getting to know a butcher because I'm trying to bring in good meat.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to find that good meat for those great Sabbath days that we're going to have really good stuff.
Yeah,
this weekend, and realizing that their volume of quality meat. This butcher now has 6 guys from our church community who are texting him and sourcing better meat than you can get in this entire region. And they now are like outselling much bigger markets for this high-end stuff, and not a wealthy community.
Right.
But in people who are they understand. Yeah, people who understand the not gluttony, but the rhythm of joyful celebration and gratitude to God for just amazing grass-fed Wagyu.
Some Wagyu
beef. It's exactly. It's like, and so the better whiskey, the better meat, and like the having more fun, like better playtime.
Right.
Yeah.
My son, who's now 21 and a senior in college, said, if there is a sign of social decay that you can think of, it's probably happened. Just try to think of one.
Sure.
And it could be totally random, like, go try to find a new video game that's multiplayer.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, you can't find it.
They don't exist.
You can't find it. It's all, well, you can play other people. There's thousands of people online.
Sure, exactly.
They're ready for you, all those strangers.
I got 7 kids. I can't find a game.
But 2 brothers? Two brothers. So my son was hunting for a game to play with his little brother over Christmas break to give him for Christmas.
Yeah.
Something they could do together and have fun. It's like, nope.
Bro,
so he had to buy a 99-cent like old throwback Star Wars game, and they had a blast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, but everything he was reviewing, everything he was looking at, it's like, nope.
Not unless you buy the Switch.
It's like,
that's it.
And it's like, okay, you can play Mario Kart, you can play some sports games, but if you want to go on an adventure, like an imaginative adventure, like, no.
2 of you
I never would have predicted that. I never would have said, I bet that video games will stop being multiplayer. I would not have anticipated that as like a sign of cultural decay, but here it is.
That is exactly right, man.
And
I just came to that realization.
Yeah, there's so many things like that. Funny. And so, but seeing the quality of groceries in the grocery store increase
Yeah.
in a small town of Idaho, like beyond what it should be able to do.
Right.
Because there are fathers who work themselves to the bone.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that they find joy in is
Celebrating.
then celebrating with their kids.
That's right.
Being alive and being blessed by God and being here, and we're going to feast together, and you're going to get a taste for that kind of tri-tip. You're going to get a taste for that kind of ribeye. And we're going to do it on a rhythm. It's going to be special to you. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see that.
Right.
But the most important things you can do is start by realizing that God gave you kids. If you're a father, he gave you kids and childhoods to handcraft.
Yes.
And those childhoods are forever. And if it happens to be in an unstable time and you pass that instability on to your children, like you're screwing up.
Yeah.
You lost.
That's right.
Like if you're taking the hits, if you're the wall and the storms are raging against you, and your kids are just remembering like a joyful, fantastic childhood and growing strong and healthy without getting just battered, then you're achieving. Know that the goal is not to survive.
Yeah.
Like that's not your goal at all. That's just, it's a little side quest.
I don't think you could have said anything better for starting
really
off
good.
the year for 2024.
2024.
Man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. If you have kids, go baptize them.
And go buy some steak.
Steaks.
God,
And
with all your
dogs.
heart, soul,
And
mind,
dogs.
strength.
Learn how to reverse sear.
Love your neighbor as yourself and smoke it. This is CrossPolitic.
Meet Big Ed. He has a tax-funded taste for children. Big Ed knows that the best grooming starts early. He has a plan for your preschoolers, a plan to gender confuse your grade schoolers. But if you think his grooming stops there, you have not been paying attention. Big Ed wants to liberate your daughters from old-fashioned ideas like, well, you already know. Big Ed has dorm rooms ready for you in prison buildings of learning, and professors standing by dedicated to grooming young adults in doubt and unbelief. After all, he is the gatekeeper of this brave new world, and if you want a job, you'll need to pay him with years of your life for a permission slip. Yeah, whatever. You think David paid Goliath for a certificate in giant management before those two squared off? Did Luther major in theses? Was George Washington summa cum laude in empire repellents, while Jefferson focused on ag with a minor in declarations? When the world needs saving, meaningful vocations abound for those who are truly prepared. And the truth is, despite Marxist advances, this is still America, and Big Ed is still a voluntary opt-in. So don't. Not at any level. Not preschool, not middle school, not college. It isn't complicated. When Big Ed offers you free candy, stay away. You'll thank us later. We know it's crazy, but run with us here. Men and women were created in the image of God. You don't need a government certificate of faux learning for personal validation or permission to work. You were born with divine permission to pursue knowledge and understanding, truth, goodness, and beauty. And at New St. Andrews College, we are committed to helping students do just that, to their fullest potential. In an age dominated by chaos, when learning is on a choke leash controlled by Big Ed and his many strange friends, ours is an education for outlaws, an education for men and women committed to building a beautiful and free society in the ruins of the Western world. When thinking is outlawed, only outlaws will think. Yes, Big Ed hates what we do, but his hatred brings us joy. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for outlaws. Mind, body, and soul.